Okay, well, good afternoon officially. Just to be respectful of everyone's time this afternoon, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. We are inviting you to the Dern and Springcreek virtual open house. Thanks so much for joining us, and I'm sure folks will hop on as we get going here. So thank you for your time in advance. For those of you I have not yet met via email or via various avenues of outreach, my name is Becca McLean. I am with Big Sky Public Relations and work on behalf of the Montana Department of Transportation. I am the communications manager for this Durn Road and Spring Creek Road project, and I'm here to help as construction begins this summer. We also, of course, have folks from our MDT, Montana Department of Transportation team representing this project on the phone. We have John Schmidt, Bob Vozen, and Drew Fetters of MDT. These folks are leadership for this project. John, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Thanks, Becca. Yeah, my name's John Schmidt. I'm the District 1 construction engineer for MDT. I have an office in Caspell, and I'm looking forward to this project. Bob?
Thanks, John. Yeah, my name's Bob Vozen. I'm the district administrator for Western Montana, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Kind of coming out of COVID, but we're going to continue to utilize this virtual session as well. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to reach out, answer some questions, and have a discussion. So thank you for taking time out of your day to join us, and look forward to visiting with anybody that has any questions. Encourage that at the end. And also, I've got an office right here in Caspell, a resident of the Flathead Valley. So generally, this project is definitely important to the valley. It's important to me. My family uses this stretch of Highway 2 on a regular basis. I'm looking forward to the safety improvements and its added benefit to the community. So thanks, everyone. Drew, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Thanks, Bob. I'm Drew Fetters, project manager with MDT. Thank you.
Thank you, MDT folks. And in addition to that, we have representatives from our construction team. Schellinger Construction representatives are here on the call as well to potentially answer any other detailed questions. They will be the contractor constructing the project. Schellinger folks on the line, if you would like to say hello. Mark, if you wouldn't mind saying hi and introducing yourself.
So I'm Mark Sir with Schellinger Construction, and I'll be the construction engineer for the oversight on the project. And I have John Williams with me. He'll be working directly with me. Nate Bowman will oversee the entire project. James will be our superintendent, and then I've got Kyle and JD here to answer questions as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, everyone on the Schellinger team for being here. We appreciate it. Okay. And thanks again, everyone, for joining us on this Wednesday afternoon. Again, my name is Becca. If you just hopped on, I'm the communications manager for this Dern and Springcreek project. My contact information will be at the end of this brief presentation if you want to be in touch after the presentation or anytime throughout construction. Of course, due to COVID-19, we've kind of transitioned to these Zoom meetings temporarily. So thanks everyone for your flexibility here. This will actually be recorded and placed on the project webpage for viewing after. So if you want to revisit a question or a slide or direct a neighbor to the presentation, you're welcome to do that. We are also hosting an in-person open house in Kalispell tomorrow at the Hampton Inn at 4 p.m. You're more than welcome to join us there as well. We're going to have these same MDT Schellinger folks there to answer questions in person, since we can do that a bit more safely now. You're more than welcome to attend or invite neighbors if that's the avenue you'd like to connect. That would be wonderful. We'll recap on that at the end of the presentation as a reminder. And then lastly, since we're holding this meeting right now virtually, we'll be using the Q&A system, the little chat box you'll see on your screen to address questions at the end of this brief presentation. And I will dive into how that will work more extensively after the presentation. So with that, I'm going to give it over to Bob to start us off with Vision Zero information.
Thanks, Becca. Yeah, Vision Zero is a goal that the Montana Department of Transportation has set. The ultimate goal is to eliminate deaths and injuries on Montana highways, a very lofty goal. Some would argue unattainable, but we truly believe that there is no acceptable number of deaths and serious injuries. So we've set the goal of Vision Zero. It's a multi-pronged approach, and we focus on the areas of education, enforcement, engineering, and emergency medical response. And this project definitely checks all 4 boxes. So another thing that I want to discuss is just without good roads, bridges, and intersections, safe travel and efficient travel through Montana would be very difficult. Having good roads, bridges, and other transportation systems and educating our drivers how to use them is critical to building strong communities in a strong state. MDT asks that all drivers do their part, slow down, pay attention, wear your seatbelt, and do not drive impaired. Our goal is always for our travelers to get to their destination safely. And this particular project is part of the highly traveled US 2 in the Flathead Valley. The intersection of US 2 with Dern Road and Springcreek must align with our Vision Zero goal. And we strongly believe that this design will allow us to best achieve our goal. As indicated earlier, our team has analyzed many different intersections, including traffic lights, 4-way stop, turn lanes, and more. After a very in-depth discussion and review and study, a roundabout was determined to be the safest solution in order to save lives at this intersection. Next slide, please, Becca. Just a brief overview. So again, the intersection will be replaced with the roundabout located slightly north and west of the existing intersection. And most of this project, or most of this construction, is going to occur in 21 and wrap up in spring of next year. In addition to the construction of the roundabout, we will be addressing the sag, or the low portion of US 2 to the east of this intersection, as well as a slight adjustment to the rise or the slight hill to the west of it. So for more of the review of the design, I'm going to turn this over to John.
Thanks, Bob. So as Bob discussed, we are going to utilize the roundabout at this intersection, and just wanted to give a little more recap on why a roundabout was chosen for this intersection. As Bob did say, we analyzed 12 different intersection options for the project, and an extensive study was completed to provide the safest long-term solution. There were nearly 50 crashes reported in the last 11 years, and we knew safety was a primary concern for the project. Other options, such as a traffic signal, 4-way stop, really simply serve as a device to assign right of way to traffic. They aren't effective at reducing crashes. Neither can prevent driver behaviors that often lead to crashes, such as poor judgment or distractions. In fact, some drivers are actually more likely to race to beat the light, increasing the risk of T-bone or head-on crashes. A roundabout, by comparison, is an active traffic control device and forces you to slow down, and is highly effective at reducing crashes at intersections. When navigating roundabouts, drivers slow to 15 to 20 miles per hour and travel in the same counterclockwise direction, significantly reducing the likelihood and severity of an accident. And next, we're going to talk just a little bit about the construction timeline and some traffic controls. So construction is expected to begin the end of May or the beginning of June, depending on the weather. And the plan is to have the new roadway with the traffic, with the roundabout operational in November of 2021. There is some work we have to do, final chip seal and pavement markings in the spring of 2022. And we do recognize that there is currently construction occurring on the Caspell bypass, as well as other area projects. And we will do what we can to limit the impacts as best we can. Residents should experience or will experience construction disturbances, including some driving delays and short interruptions to utilities as effective services are relocated. And for the initial construction phase, much of the work hopefully is going to occur outside of the actual intersection itself and to the northwest of the current road. There'll still be some minor traffic control to guide trucks and equipment through the construction zone and make sure the traveling public makes it through the construction zone safely. The current intersection will most likely be impacted fully in July or August of 2021. And at that point, traffic could be limited to one lane. Drivers will likely experience more significant delays between July and November. Bob, do you want to take a minute and just discuss budget and maintenance a little bit?
You bet. Thanks, John. Yeah, so as you can see on the slide, this is a $5.2 million project. It's funded entirely from the Highway Safety Improvement Project, or HSIP as we call it, fundings. There's no state match required with this funding source. This project does meet all of the goals and requirements of the HSIP program. It allows MDT to identify projects that support Vision Zero's goal of 0 fatalities, 0 serious injuries, as we discussed earlier. The maintenance of this project is going to be similar to other locations, not only in western Montana, but throughout Montana, where we have roundabouts located on our roadways. They do present a little added challenge to snow removal, but our maintenance folks are fully versed and capable of maintaining these. One of the benefits to this is that it does remove the annual and long-term maintenance of signal systems, and the intersection remains fully functional during those periods of time when we have power outages, which is very critical on a roadway of this nature. To completely lose any safety effect of a signal, the roundabout, we lose none of its effectiveness during those power outage times. And due to the crash history that we had at this intersection, something needed to be done. HSIP funds allow us to use federal dollars for a project focused on increasing safety, such as this one. So, John, do you want to talk maybe a little further in depth about how this project and the other additional projects that we have going on in the Greater Flathead area?
You bet. Thanks, Bob. So we do understand that there are a lot of projects in the Caspell area occurring specifically this year, and wanted to take the opportunity during this presentation to provide just a quick update and background on a couple other Caspell area projects to be aware of. If you have any questions about any of these, feel free to reach out to Becca, and she can provide more information. There are quite a few projects occurring in the valley this year. At the end of the presentation, we will only be taking questions about the Dern and Springcreek intersection. But like I said, feel free to follow up with Becca outside of this presentation, and we're more than happy to get you as much information as we can about the other projects. So on the screen here, we do have a map of the Caspell area projects and all other MDT projects taking place this year, located on the Dern and Springcreek webpage, and we will have a link to that at the end of the presentation. If you want up-to-date information on other local projects, feel free to visit the MDT travel map, or you can, like I said, email Becca with specific questions. So as many people in the area where we are working on the Floyd Lake Road interchange, where we're removing the existing roundabout at Floyd Lake Road and replacing it with a full interchange consisting of an overpass and 4 access ramps. This will involve adding 2 new roundabouts at the intersection of the on and off ramps with Floyd Lake Road to help carry local and residential traffic. And then the bypass will carry high-speed regional traffic over Floyd Lake, which should reduce the congestion in the area. The project began in March and will continue through November with hopefully the interchange being fully open in 2021. And then there is some work to do to finish up in the spring of 22, similar to Dern and Springcreek, with chip seal and some final striping. And then we do have the Caspell concrete rehab project, which began in July of 2020 and was complete for the season as of October in 2020. But work did begin to resume in April for a few weeks. We finished up all of the concrete pavement preservation part of that project, but we do have some remaining striping to take place, and that will all take place at night in the upcoming weeks. Preserving roads like US 2 through Caspell is part of our goal to keep good roads good in Montana, and drivers from experiencing major road construction, as well as effectively use Montana's transportation funds. So as we've said several times, we do welcome any question on the project plans. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time. I'm going to pass it over to Becca to provide contact information, and then we would love to hear your questions for the remainder of the meeting. As a reminder, there is an in-person open house tomorrow evening from 4 to 5:30. We encourage people to come and visit with the project team at the Hampton Inn in Caspell. And Becca, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, John. That's right. Just again, another reminder of the open house in person tomorrow. It's 4 to 5:30, and you're welcome to pop in anytime between those hours. We'd love to see you, or invite neighbors as well. So just switching to this last screen here, thanks for bearing with us through that little recap and presentation. Here on the screen, you'll see my email address on the top, becca@bigskypublicrelations.com. Again, feel welcome to email me if you're not already signed up for updates for the project. I am sending weekly construction updates, so feel free to shoot me an email and say, hey, I'd like to be added. And I can add you, and those are quite detailed each week as to what to expect as construction continues. You're also welcome to sign up for updates via text. Text Dern Spring, like it shows on your screen there, to 41411. Those are really short and sweet updates weekly as well, if that interests you. And lastly, if you have questions and would like to talk to a live human on the phone, we have a hotline listed there, open during business hours. That's manned at all times during business hours if you have questions or would like to, again, check in on that update of the project at any point this year or next as we continue. So thanks again, everyone, for your time. We're going to transition now to our question and answer session. So the project team can hopefully answer any burning questions. As I'm sure many of you are familiar, let's use the chat box located on your screen to type in questions, and my wonderful colleague Katie will be facilitating the Q&A to make sure that we can get your questions answered. If for some reason you don't feel comfortable asking a question during this meeting, again, feel free to email me, feel free to pop into the open house tomorrow, whatever works best is great. And one last housekeeping detail, I'm also going to launch a poll via Zoom. It should pop up on your screen. It's just a handful of questions. This is totally optional. It's just gathering some feedback for MDT on your open house preferences and how you're liking these virtual open houses or not. We'd love to hear from you if you're interested. So while we're gathering questions, I'm going to have that launched as well, so you can have that up on your screen. So I will do that momentarily. And Katie, if you want to kick us off with a question. Thanks.
Thanks, Becca, and great job, everyone. We're seeing some great questions come through that I know our team is happy to answer. So the first, and I'll turn this over to you, John. The first question is from Jason. So he first says, thank you for sharing the information. He agrees that this will make that intersection this much safer. His question and his concern, which I think is a really good one that we can cover, is about traffic control during construction. So his question is that he has a concern with the disruption or delays of traffic during construction on Highway 2, and that he goes through there like many others as part of his daily commute. So his question there is, he would like to get an idea of how much the project construction will affect commuters, how long delays will be, and then if there's an alternate route advised. So John, over to you to address some of that for him.
Thanks, Katie. It's a great question, Jason. So our goal is to have as minimal impact as possible on the commuters through the area. We do try to shoot for a maximum of a 15-minute delay to commute. That being said, we don't try to 15 is the max. So if we can keep it lower than that, that's what we'll do. We don't advise alternate routes. It's certainly up to the folks on the road. If they want to take an alternate route, we aren't going to sign an alternate route at this time. With that, I would ask if Mark or the folks at Schellinger had anything they wanted to add about what we're looking at for anticipated delays.
Yeah, we'll definitely shoot for no more than 15 minutes, and we'll do what we can to strategically move the traffic, keep them flowing. We've studied the project, and we see some ideas and some options for just keeping the traffic moving through construction.
Thanks, Mark. Katie, hopefully
Thanks.
that answers Jason's question there.
Yeah, I think that it does. John, there might be an opportunity to talk about the staging of this project too, and where work will be happening somewhat off the roadway to begin with, and then what that might look like.
You bet. So Mark, do you want to give a little more detail on your construction phasing plan?
And just so you know, Mark, we're getting a little bit of feedback from you. It's kind of hard to hear.
Okay. On the phasing, our plan is to get in and work in the what would be the northwest quadrant, move the bulk of the dirt that needs to be moved there, and then also we'd start building embankment on the right-hand side, and then we would, as soon as we could get to grade, we'd start graveling the new roundabout area and start pouring concrete as early as we possibly can. We'll have a little bit of a challenge there with traffic, just because of traffic going to Dern and Springcreek will have to cross over the PCCP area, which is the concrete area for the roundabout. So, we've got some options and ideas there that could possibly, keep the traffic flowing and moving through there. But that'll be the difficult piece, is actually getting all the concrete in place, getting it cured, and being able to get traffic shifted onto it.
Thanks, Mark. And Katie, too, one thing I was going to add is just I would encourage people to sign up for the weekly updates. If we know we're going to have a harder part, or there's going to be a major traffic shift or something, that would come out in our weekly update from Becca, and would help give an indication of what we're expecting for the upcoming week. So really would encourage signing up for that update.
Great, thanks, John. So next question, and we're seeing a couple similar questions. Next is from Catherine, and she's wondering how the new roundabout may affect truckers. And John, I know we have a lot to that answer, so I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, thank you. So we did set up a full-scale replication of this roundabout here about a year and a half ago now, and invited truck drivers and whoever wanted to come drive through it to come check it out and see what they thought. Really, most trucks went through it, no problem. Didn't hit any of the lines. It is designed with trucks in mind, and is a little different design than what people are used to seeing compared to what we have out on the bypass. So should be fully accommodatable to trucks, and we don't foresee there being any issues with trucks going through these.
And this is Bob. I'll just add one other note to the truck traffic. One thing that to note is the location of this roundabout being moved to what is currently a hill north and west of the existing intersection. By removing that sag, it should make it a little bit more not only truck friendly, but anybody with a heavy load, somebody pulling a stock trailer, for example, won't have to go to the bottom of the sag as you do now, and then be starting from that low point on the road and have to climb to get out of the roundabout in either direction. The roundabout will be at a higher elevation, so that'll also help drivers, those pulling onto the road from Dern or Springcreek also will have a flatter place to stage and wait for their gap to enter the roundabout and begin their travels on Highway 2 as well.
Thanks, Bob. That's a really great point of clarification. And Catherine, if you are interested, on that project website that Becca has at the bottom, the MDT Public Involved Dern and Springcreek, we have a few of the videos that John was talking about from that roundabout simulation and of some other roundabouts that are similar in their construction that are on that webpage, so you can see how trucks are accommodating them well and some of those changes that Bob and John were both talking about. So I wanted to make sure that we acknowledge that. Next, we have a question from Melissa, and she's wondering about speeds near the project. So she's asking if speed limits on Highway 2 will be altered in any way on the approach to the roundabout, not through the roundabout itself. So John, back over to you.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks for the question, Melissa. So I do know we have something in the works with what's going on with the speed limits there on Highway 2, but I would defer to Bob as he's more involved with what's going on with those speed limits. Bob, can you give us some information on that?
You bet. And this is something that we recognize when traffic is approaching the roundabout from town, from Caspell at the top of Hart Hill. There's currently a zone there where the speed limit steps up to 60 miles an hour. And then immediately you start down the grade to the intersection. As part of this project, we're in discussions with Flathead County. There's changing a speed limit in Montana is not as easy as simply going out for MDT and changing the signs alongside the road. There's actually, under Montana law, there's a process that has to be undertaken, and it has to have the support of the local governing agency, which in this location is the county. So the county submits a request to the Transportation Commission, which has oversight over the Department of Transportation. So it's a somewhat lengthy process. We recognize that there's challenges to stepping up the speed limit right in front of a roundabout. So it's something that we're undergoing. We're in the process of having discussions with the county, and we do anticipate that speed zone will be pushed further west, to the west side of this intersection, before the speed limit will go up to 60 miles an hour. So more to come on that. We're aware of the issue and definitely trying to make sure we get it addressed before the final speed limit sign is put up. We want to make sure that speed zone's in the best place possible.
Awesome. Thanks, Bob. And really good question, Melissa. If you're not already signed up for those updates, I would encourage you to do so, because that will be something that Becca will continue to communicate as we move through that process. We've certainly had that question before, and as Bob said, one that we acknowledge and are working through. Next, Melissa and Andrew actually have a very similar question. So they're wondering how the trail crossing will be incorporated with the roundabout design, and specifically the Great Northern Trail that's part of the Rails to Trails program. John?
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, so the trail crossing across Durn Road is incorporated in the design, and actually should provide a safer crossing across Durn Road, in that there should be more visibility for people to see people crossing the road. And then during construction, there will be some shifts and alterations to the trail to be able to accommodate the construction and the widening of Durn Road, but the trail will remain open. And if there is a short-term temporary closure where it's just not safe, we will advertise that, and that'll be part of our weekly outreach.
Thank you, John. Melissa, if that answers your question, or doesn't answer your question, feel free to let us know. And anybody else that's thrown anything into our chat box, we're certainly happy to provide additional context or more information. But currently, those are all of the questions that we had come through the Q&A. So just again, as a reminder, and I know there are a couple of folks on the phone, so if you're not able to answer or input a question from your phone on Zoom, if you don't have the app, the project webpage and hotline and Becca's email are all available. If you just Google MDT and Dern and Springcreek, it'll take you right to that project, and he can certainly follow up with you afterwards. To that end, John, you just had a great explanation of the trail crossing, and Andrew was wondering if there will also be any specific treatment for the crossing to increase visibility like an RRFB. And for those who are less familiar, RRFB stands for Rapid Rectangular Flashing Beacon. It's basically the light that starts to flash once a pedestrian or a cyclist gets near, and they can activate that themselves. So with that, I'll turn that back over to John to answer.
Thanks, Katie. We did look at the crossing treatment and wanted to make sure it was consistent with our guidance and what we're doing other places. And at this time, there isn't any special treatment. There isn't an RRFB. It'll be just our standard pedestrian crossing signs. So.
Thanks, John, and great questions, Andrew. And John, just so you know, Andrew said, sounds good, thanks. With that, I'm not seeing any more. Folks, you're still welcome to add your questions into the bottom of your screen where it says Q&A, and the chat bubbles will continue to stay on the line. But for that, Becca, I might turn it over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Thanks everyone for great questions, and thanks to those of you that filled out that short little poll. That's super helpful. I appreciate it. And like Katie said, we can hang out for another 5 or 10 minutes here. If folks have other questions, we would love to hear them. Otherwise, if you don't have a question, we are done with the presentation, portion of the meeting here. So you're welcome to take off if you don't have any other questions. Thanks everyone for your time. And one more last reminder that the in-person open house for this project will be tomorrow, 4 to 5:30 at the Hampton Inn, if you're interested in seeing our faces there. So thanks everyone. We'll hang out for a few more minutes here if there are other questions. Okay, hearing none, I think we will hop off just to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you all who have joined us. We appreciate your participation and are looking forward to starting this project. Again, if something comes to you after the meeting, feel free to email me and we can get you those answers anytime. Thanks everyone so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Becca.
Thank you.